Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Ich warte seit Wochen auf diesen Tag und tanz vor Freude über den Asphalt. Als wär's ein Rhythmus, als gäb's ein Lied, das mich immer weiter durch die Straßen zieht. Komm dir entgegen.
Hello and welcome to Gegenpressing, the Bundesliga podcast. This is the prediction show brought to you in association with Get German Football News. And joining me this week, filling in for Stefan, is Sepp. Sepp, how's it going? I had you on just earlier for the Harry Kane show. So if you wondering where Stefan is, listen back to that, I guess. But other than that, how's it going, Sepp?
It's going good. I can't decide whether I want to sabotage Stefan's predictions or whether I want to help him. Don't know yet. Well, depending on how I do, we'll know. I think that's the answer.
He will claim either one.
He'll have to live with it either way, right? So
yeah, it's his fault. I offered to him, full disclosure, I offered to him that I will do this with you, that your predictions wouldn't count. He could send me his predictions separately. And he said, no, I trust Sepp to make the right predictions.
Wow. That faith is weighing on my shoulders. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a heavy
It's
burden.
a burden. Yeah.
Before we start this, I asked you before we jumped on the show whether you have a fantasy team.
I do.
And you do. Of course, there is the official Gegenpressing Liga that everyone can join, and we'll have prizes this year in association with the DFL. They are sponsoring a shirt for the winner, a match ball for second place, and a mini ball, which you and I both love for our cats.
Yes, indeed.
For the third place. I usually start this show with my regrets on my fantasy team, and I had two. One, that I didn't sell Brandon Aronson, which I planned, and then he got a red card, of course, and that I didn't make Gosens my star player. Sepp, did you have any regrets into matchday 2?
I did not believe that Jesper Lindstrom's transfer to Napoli was quite as close as it was. And so I didn't see him being left on the bench all the way through.
Oh,
yeah.
regrets.
But then I suppose with the red card, with the Knauf red card, maybe he doesn't have that much impact. So it's not, I don't have too many regrets. I mean, I could do with Marcel Sabitzer being a little bit better, frankly, in my midfield. I thought I'd get some points at Bochum, but alas, I feel we're going to talk about that a little bit during the course of the show, though. So.
Yeah, I also bought Young for Stuttgart on the basis of the first match day.
Yeah.
And then we all know what happened on Stuttgart on match day 2. So
they were okay for an hour. I was talking to our friends Tom Julian on WhatsApp during that game, and he was he'd bigged Stuttgart up before the match, and he was going out and he left at half time. And was kind of feeling pretty good about himself, and then came back and got quite a late text message from him saying I might have gone a bit early with this.
Yeah, it was not a good showing the last 30 minutes. No. I also had Louis Openda on my side for match day 1 and sold him.
Oh, I kept him.
Ouch.
I kept him.
That might be bad. But, oh well. This is the prediction show. We should do some predictions, and Sepp, we should jump into it right after this break.
Okay.
This episode of the Gegenpressing podcast is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get on the action. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, Believe, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. And the game starts on Friday. Sepp, this is what happens to me when I have a guest on the show that I never have a guest on. You're the first guest on the prediction show, and I'm all over the place. It's Sepp, not Stefan.
I've been talking to you for about an hour and a half now as well. So
jeez.
I know.
Anyways, the game started on Friday, and I've complaining to you about this before the show that who does a match day on not only a match day but an actual match on deadline day?
Yeah.
We don't even know what the Dortmund side will look like when the game kicks off at 8:30 German time.
Well, I suppose we're recording this Wednesday evening, and anything done between now and then, someone's not going to be eligible to play. So I suppose there's some solace, but it does create a very weird feeling around it. It is better. What I will say, it is better than the way it used to be, which is transfer deadline day, signings come in, off we all go on international break for 2 weeks. I hated that. Just, it's a tease. So this is better, even if it creates uncertainty.
Right, but instead we're going off onto an international break right after this match day.
Yeah.
Which would have been a perfect time for Stefan to go on holiday, by the way.
But selfishly. No.
Anyways, you're the guest, so you go first. What's your prediction for Dortmund against Heidenheim?
I'm going 2-1 Dortmund. I think Heidenheim will score. I think Dortmund get through. I've got some concerns about Dortmund. I think we all do.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah, I went for a bit more bigger result for Dortmund. I think this could be their breakout performance at home against a promoted side that's never played in Dortmund in the Bundesliga. So I'm thinking a 3-0 win in order for Dortmund here, but I fear that you might be right and that will cause further discussions surrounding the Dortmund side.
Yeah, like that midfield, that defence. Don't know if they're going to score enough goals. There's a bit of uncertainty in the atmosphere as well around that team. I'm not sure where they're going really, but we'll see. And Heidenheim, I think will go straight back down at the end of the season, but I think they'll have a little bit of joy here.
Yeah, must-win game for Dortmund for sure. All right, well, that's the Friday fixture out of the way. This next one, another promoted side, Leverkusen against Darmstadt. Oh, this Leverkusen side has been really, really good, Sepp.
Red hot. Yeah.
Red hot. People are calling them Bayern Munich's biggest title challenger, and it's Leverkusen's caution. This is a team that, if something goes wrong, there will be a midst in it. But I do believe in Javi Alonso, and I believe in this Leverkusen side, and I do believe that they're going to smash Darmstadt 4-1.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've gone 4-0. I think they'll just have their way with Darmstadt, who I think are going to be overmatched most weeks. I believe in Leverkusen. I believe in Granit Xhaka, who's playing brilliantly.
His goal last week,
Oh, his 2 passes for the other goals, for the Boniface and Jonathan Tah goals. The passes at the base of the move, which is just fantastic ball striker. But yeah, I believe in this Leverkusen team. They're brilliant to watch as well.
Yeah, no, it's I think this Leverkusen side might be for real.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to cause real headaches, and which is fun. We need that.
Yes, we do.
Especially if Dortmund continue to Dortmund things. All right, that brings us to the next match. We're flying through this. This is great. Hoffenheim against Wolfsburg. You are up first for this one.
Right. Hoffenheim 1, Wolfsburg 2. 1-2. Because Hoffenheim to me, Hoffenheim looked very, very ropey. I know they won last week in their comeback at Heidenheim, but they were ropey. Wolfsburg, I think, not on the Leverkusen level, but I think are going to be a little bit of a dark horse. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wolfsburg sneak into 4th or 5th place. Just because I think I really like Laura Meyer signing. I think he's a terrific player. I like what else they've done with the Van der Veen money. I think it's been very, very smart. And if they can reliably score goals, I know that's a big if, but if they can, for instance, if you could count on the matchup to get maybe 15 this season, then I think you could have some joy there.
I couldn't really separate these two teams.
Okay.
I went for a 1-1 draw, so pretty close to what you have. But I'm with you. I think Wolfsburg is sneaky good.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. They've done some real good stuff, but I just don't know where to put them yet, if that makes sense.
No, that's
and
fair enough. That's fair enough.
I have the same issues with Hoffenheim. So
Yeah.
1-1 draw just seemed like a logical result here for me.
Yeah, particularly away from home. It's also early season, so there's a few moving parts in that Wolfsburg team. So we'll see. Also, a little bit of conjecture around a few others. So maybe they're one that need the transfer market to shut, really.
Yeah. And the same can be said about this next game, Werder against Mainz. I also went for a 1-1 draw. I couldn't really separate those two teams from one another. Yeah. Also, I don't know what the Werder attack is going to look like when this game comes around, because there were some rumors about Füllkrug joining Dortmund when we recorded this. This may or may not have gone across the line, so caution here. But this Werder side seems like it's still in transition. And Mainz, I feel like a point away for them at Bremen is probably something that they would take. So 1-1 seemed safe here.
I've gone 1-1 too, for different reasons. I didn't factor the Füllkrug thing in. I worry about Werder if he were to leave and they were not to replace him, obviously. I was a little unimpressed by what I saw from Mainz after going a man up and a goal up last weekend against Eintracht. It was not very impressive, in my opinion. So I think there's a little bit of work there to do. I like some of the signings. I like Tom Kraus. I like him as an addition there. He hasn't really played yet, but he was very, very good for Schalke last season as a ball winner, even though they went down. So I don't know, I feel like Mainz not quite where they need to be. So this is going to be kind of a typical tentative 1-1 early season point for both.
Mm-hmm. Next one then, Augsburg against Bochum.
1-0 Augsburg. Yeah, I think Augsburg are all right. Bochum, I'm very concerned by, despite the performance against Dortmund. Because I feel like the performance against Dortmund was felt like a little bit of a local rivalry situation in terms of just there was a bit more energy in Bochum than there had been the previous week when they'd been desperately poor in the first game of the season. Augsburg, again, this is a sort of transfer market situation. Few whispers about some outgoings there, which would concern me. But I think they'll be okay to get through this. I thought I think they did have a few good moments against Bayern, and they troubled them in a way which I think will show itself against Bochum. So 1-0 Augsburg.
Of course, you mentioned that Mergin Berisha. I think just after we started recording his now announced to Hoffenheim, right? 15 million.
Oh, it's been announced. Okay,
I think it's been announced.
Okay, yeah.
I saw in one of my work chats that it's done anyway. Okay. So
because he might have put Augsburg in the lead against Bayern as well. Had he taken his chance early in that game, but he that would be a miss.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually went for another 1-1 draw.
Okay.
I have 3 1-1 draws in a row, which I think I've never done before, but I just don't. I couldn't separate these two either. You make a really, really compelling point about Bochum's performance against Dortmund being a local rivalry, and Bochum do quite well against big teams at home. They beat Bayern there too.
Yeah.
So
they're that team though. It's that kind of ground as well. It felt like a very false performance. I don't mean that in a nasty way, but just a false indicator. Put it that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you on that. All right, then we have Stuttgart against Freiburg. I still believe in the Stuttgart side, Sepp. I still do. I think that collapse against Leipzig in its epic proportions might reflect how good this team is. And I think they're actually going to rebound here at home against Freiburg. This is a local derby, a Baden-Württemberg derby, right? I think they're going to beat Freiburg 2-1.
Interesting. I've got Stuttgart 2-0, and here's why. I feel like something happened to them mentally after the Benny Henrichs charge down that provided the Leipzig equaliser. They were excellent until then, and they've also, player that I really like, they've signed Angelo Stiller, who I think is going to be a super midfielder in the future. I think he'll end up playing for Germany, senior international. and he'll be kind of, I don't know whether he'll be involved in this game, but I liked an awful lot of where I saw. I think Hennes has them in such a better place than they were at the beginning of last season. So I think they beat Freiburg. And yeah, I'm enjoying watching Stuttgart. And like we said about Bochum, I feel like the last 30 minutes of that game against Leipzig was a false indicator. Don't think we should trust that. Like, Leipzig played ever so well, but Stuttgart doesn't mean Stuttgart are bad. Let's see them rebound here. I'm with you.
Yeah, I fully agree with everything you say. It was such a weird game.
Weird game, weird goals, like just a weird occasion. And
I mean, don't let Leipzig play. That's the takeaway.
Don't let Leipzig play on the transition, right? That's pretty good motto for life in the Bundesliga.
Because I do think that Leipzig are for real. I don't get blinded by that matchday 1 result against Leverkusen. Leverkusen will take points, I think, of all the top teams this year. So don't get blinded by that. Leipzig are very, very good. And we're going to talk about Leipzig in a bit. This next one. So this is my match of the week. So I'm going to destroy the order of who's going first and go first here because this is my match of the week. Gladbach against Bayern. The true Klassiker, as I call it, Sepp. Because unlike the marketed Klassiker, the DFL marketing machine Klassiker that is Dortmund against Bayern or Bayern against Dortmund, this is actually a Klassiker because the other team tends to beat Bayern. And it doesn't even matter whether Gladbach have a good year or a bad year. They still do beat Bayern. For some odd reason, there is something very special about this game, and Bayern hate playing there, especially in Gladbach, right? I was so tempted to go with a Gladbach win here, or maybe a draw. And I'm going to regret tipping that Bayern are going to win this game 2-1, because it is the true Klassiker, and Bayern tend to lose the true Klassiker. But I do think that this time is going to be different. 2-1 Hurricane winner late is my prediction here. Sepp, what did you go with?
I've gone with an edgy 4-0 win for Bayern Munich.
Because you playing with fire here.
No, I don't feel like I'm. I was concerned by what I saw from Gladbach against Leverkusen. Leverkusen are very good, very, very good. But when you say a team is transitioning, that feels like it's kind of, it ignores the point about what they're transitioning into. And there's not a lot that I like about this Gladbach team. It's not a lot that I trust. There's, even at home, like you're facing a couple of your ex-players, Jack is coming back, Hoffman's coming back. There's just nothing there at the moment. It's not to say it won't be, but I feel like if this game had been in maybe October, November, when it's a little bit more rhythm, I would probably be a bit more reserved, or at least I'd think a little bit more about my prediction. But I can't see anything other than quite a big Bayern win. They're just holes there. They look so susceptible to speed, and against Mazraoui and Davies and with Kane in the middle, I don't think Musiala's going to be back. I think he's still injured, but I just think Bayern Munich is going to trample them.
I mean, my mind tells me that we're both right and Bayern are going to win this game. But I mean, Gladbach faced Bayern at this stage of the season last year, and were the first team to throw a wrench into Nagelsmann's side.
But then they had different weapons, Manu. Like, they had players that were kind of like some of the. For instance, I accept that like Bayern have some issues on transition, but who do Gladbach have to exploit that weakness at the moment? I don't. Happy to be proven wrong. That'd be very interesting, but I can't logically make the case at the moment.
No, which is why we didn't. And we're supposed to use logic, although this game has thrown logic out of the window on several occasions.
It's football, of course it does.
Yeah, and it is, look, I think it is a special game in German football with the history that it has and all that sort of stuff. And the Bundesliga, the DFL, should probably do better promoting this game. Because it is worth watching, and I think everyone should be tuning in. It's going to be a really fun game. All right, since I went first in this one because it's my match of the week, you get to go first on the last two, including your match of the week, which is the final match. But first, we have Frankfurt against Köln. What are you thinking here?
Eintracht 0, Köln 1.
Ooh,
and here's why. Eintracht have lost so much, so much. And in bad ways, for instance, Lindstrom won fine. The Kolo Muani situation is ridiculous because, you move to a club on a free transfer, you spend a year there, and you kind of go on strike. it's just disgraceful, right? You just, I can't abide with that at all. Anyway, and if you add it all up, you've lost Kamada, you lost Lindstrom, you're going to lose Colin. At the very least, he's not going to play at the weekend. He's, whether he moves or not, he's not training at the moment. You've got significant issues. You've got significant losses in your defence. I don't like Robin Koch as a player. Like, I don't think he's the equal of the players that Eintracht have lost in that area the last couple of years. And I think Cologne win. I think that Eintracht are going to... I no doubt Eintracht will have the revenue to rebuild, but it's just chaos at the moment. And it feels very un-German, like to be dealing with these problems at the end of August. So I think can profit from the chaos.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually went for a 2-0 win for Köln.
Okay.
Because everything you just said, I agree with. It is utter chaos. Colomwani, when we were recording this on a Wednesday, is currently in Paris, hiding out with his family.
He's actually in Paris. Okay, right.
Yeah, he's in Paris, and so he's not playing. He's not playing in the Europa League, Europa Conference qualifier, right? And
he refused to train today, didn't he? So
yeah, he's not playing this weekend. And I assume that he's going to get sold. Stay tuned. Obviously, this show is going to come out before the deadline, the window closes, so this could go down all the way to the wire.
Hey, you know what? I hope Eintracht get what they're after. I hope they've had that.
I hope they get 100 million.
100 million euros. They've had that figure. They had that figure for Bayern before the transfer window even opened. Yeah. Also, the price is definitely the price when you're negotiating with Paris Saint-Germain. It just is. Like, this is the way of it.
You can afford the name of money. Give it to them.
Yeah, but also it's like, Paris Saint-Germain's FFP concerns not Eintracht's problem. Like, you can either afford him, you can afford him, so pay the money. Sell somebody else. Sell Julian Draxler somewhere. You can raise the money from elsewhere if you want.
He's back at PSG?
I haven't heard of him going anywhere else.
He was only on loan in Benfica.
He was on loan in Benfica, yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot that he exists.
So I think Julian Draxler has forgotten that he exists too.
He was the perfect player for Wolfsburg. Anyways, that brings us to your match of the week, which also means you get to go first again.
My private top spiel is Union Berlin against RB Leipzig, and I've gone for a 2-2 draw. I can't wait. I'm actually going to this game. I'm working this game. So going down to Köpenick, and could not be more excited. And it's only Wednesday and I'm excited. Yeah. I loved what Union did at Darmstadt last weekend. I thought it was so impressive. From everyone except Brendan Aronson, of course. But Gerson's effect on the game. I love Fofana. I think he's a really smart loan signing. I really like the way some of those new players have adjusted. Like, I think Volland will be an excellent signing. They still got... I don't know what's going to happen with Becker. I think Jordan is leaving. That's what I heard before we started recording.
He's in Gladbach.
Right. Kevin Behrens is just a monster of a footballer. And love watching him head footballs. I don't know if Khedira is back for this game. I read I was reading earlier that he's questionable rather than out, so we'll see. But what I will say, and this kind of leans into my fantasy football team conveniently, is like, I think Renault's one of the most underrated goalkeepers in the league. I've been so impressed with him. Certainly last season, certainly in the Europa League. I think he's done. He's exactly the right goalkeeper for this side as well, to play behind that back three. And I think this is going to be a great game. And I can't wait to watch some of those Leipzig players in that stadium close up, because like we mentioned Openda earlier, but Simons as well has started the season so well. And it's going to be great to watch. David Raum's playing pretty well as well, so can't wait.
Yeah.
2-2.
I went for a similar result. I went for a 2-3 Leipzig win.
Wow, Leipzig winning in Köpenick, really?
In Köpenick. I think that they have the quality to win this game. And I think that Louis Openda is going to score a ridiculous amount of goals, proving me wrong that I should have never sold him. Maybe I'm going to buy him again. and ruin his form.
You're gonna buy, sell, and rebuy him in the space of 3 fancy football weeks. That's a disgrace.
Is that is this a terrible idea?
More interesting though. So, by my reckoning, the last team to win in Köpenick was Union Saint-Gilloise in the Europa League group stages. Is that right, or have I missed somebody?
Wow, I think you might be right.
They didn't lose there in the Bundesliga, did they? Towards the end of last season, because they had that period where they went a little bit off the boil, but
they always at least snuck a draw away at home.
I mean, not many people win there. It's bold.
You need to win there if you want to win the title.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
But I mean, maybe all the other teams will drop points there too. I read today that they scored 8 goals on an XG of 3.8. Sepp, when are we just going to ignore XG when it comes to Union Berlin?
We should already be doing it. Like Union Berlin. What? I was talking. I was doing some US radio earlier and talking about Urs Fischer and just his ability to coach really efficient football.
Yeah,
it's just remarkable, absolutely remarkable what he's done, and also remarkable that it's kind of held. Like I remember people saying, like when the Gerson story started, it'd be like, oh, okay, so now this is the point at which we start, integrating German internationals into this team of kind of this band of brothers. It's going to go badly. It's going to go badly. Robin Gosens is the best player on the pitch at the weekend. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Look, he looks like he's completely bought in within weeks of being there. It looks fantastic. So I can only see Union getting better,
especially with this time Bonucci.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I think I subconsciously filed my accreditation request because I thought, well, maybe I'll be there for a Bonucci unveiling, right? Like, there's no
shock me at this point with this club.
You know what? It'd be a great story. Like I remember actually when I went to the first leg of the Saint-Gilloise game in the knockout rounds of the Europa League. I got there and I was going through one of the turnstiles, and in front of me there was a guy with an Isco shirt. He'd had the name printed and everything on the back of his shirt. He didn't care. He just did not care. So I'm, fine. This is where we are now.
Sometimes I wonder if Union Berlin just linked themselves to players like that to be in the news, but
he was there though. He was there.
It was all done. And yes, I mean, one day there will be a book written about. I know there is already a great big book written about it by Kit Holden, right?
Fabulous book.
But when he does his second edition,
there's the Isco chapter.
Yeah, the Isco will be an entire chapter on its own. All right, well that sums up match day 3. Enjoy the games, guys. Enjoy the final day of the transfer window as well. I can't wait for it to be shut and we can just focus on this. Although considering I work for Transfermarkt, it never ends, Sepp. It's constant. But it will be over for all the people who don't care about the transfer window. Let's say
that don't work for Transfermarkt.
Or don't work for Transfermarkt. Or don't read Transfermarkt, which is a shame, you should. Right. Anyways, as always, the show is brought to you by Bet Online in association with Get German Football News. Sepp, before we wrap this up, where can people find you?
Well, Manny, I'm right about German football for the Athletic, so I'm over there most of the time, and I'm on Twitter at SevSB, and I'm also an executive producer at Tifo Football, so you can find me over on those bits as well. I edit the Illustrated channel, so you can find me all around the bout.
Awesome, and yes, give Sepp a follow if you aren't already, and check out his stuff on The Athletic, and we'll be back soon with more content next week. Stefan's still gone, but I have some awesome guests lined up, so don't worry, we can fill the void. Also, a different schedule next week because we don't have a match day 4 next weekend. It's international break, which means no prediction show, but the usual shows will still be all there. So stay tuned. And until then, auf Wiedersehen.
Tschüss.
In Sicht.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.